gulped back his steaming coffee, then set the mug on the small table next to his new armchair. Sitting back, he straightened the dressing gown over his thighs, and resting his hands gently in his lap, Matthew closed his eyes and began. He'd read nothing about meditation, and did not even call it that. He didn't call it anything. All Matthew knew was that lying on that mattress in that rotting caravan 8 months ago, something new had suddenly tugged at him, deep down in his guts, and invited him to follow. So Matthew followed. Why not? Until that moment, Matthew's life had consisted of varying degrees of despair, punctuated either by brief snatches of euphoria or the relief of oblivion. When he closed his eyes, listened, and followed, something happened, something that was neither euphoria nor despair, something entirely other. One cool morning in late March, Matthew's mother, Janice, called to tell him that his father, the renowned picture restorer, Monsieur Alain Durand, had died of a heart attack whilst working on a project in the Loire Valley. Matthew and his older brother, Nicholas, were left an equal share of their father's estate. Janice didn't tell Matthew how much, if anything, had been left for her daughter. All she said was that Beth would be comfortable and her care would now be private. She asked Matthew when she should see him again. He said he didn't know. Then the signal, patchy at best, dropped completely. When it returned, Janice had not tried to call back. Matthew lay back on the slender mattress and stared at a patch of mould on the peeling caravan ceiling, fingers locked behind his head. He had not eaten since his last binge, which finally ran out of steam a few days ago. Now he felt ready for a tentative return to food. There was some bread, but nothing else. Farm inheritance guy told Matthew he could eat apples stored in one of the barns. As many as he wanted, who gives a damn? So apples it is, again. Apples and stale bread. The phone buzzed to life. Nicholas. Matthew hadn't spoken to him in a couple of years. Now his poster boy older brother screamed at him across the miles. Matthew winced and held the phone over his head. The assault was still perfectly audible. After all I've done for them, after all you've done to them, working my arse off while you waste your life, make damn sure you never see a penny of it. The signal dropped again, cutting off Nicholas's diatribe with an innocent double beep, leaving his sibling in a sudden eerie limbo. Matthew stared again at the mould. It was like seeing things in the shapes of clouds. And then it happened, that mysterious intervention. True to his word, Nicholas did whatever it is wealthy people do when they want to stop something happening, and managed to get Matthew's inheritance put on hold. This was achieved under the guise of being for his own good. The story was that access to a large sum of money right now would put Nicholas's younger brother's life seriously at risk. Matthew had danced with death for years, and his brother had paid no attention. But now he played the part of the loving, responsible older sibling to perfection. When he found this out, Matthew sat in the caravan, trembling with impotent rage, just as he had as a child. And then that tugging thing happened again. Matthew's usual tsunami of self-defeating thoughts was halted in its tracks, as though encountering a vast, unexpected wall. He stopped. He listened. What followed is something Matthew had never done before. It had never occurred to him to even try. He created a strategy. He made some inquiries, then, a few days later, called his mother. He told her he'd admitted himself into a treatment centre in Weston and asked if she could transfer enough money to live on until he went in. The cost could then be paid for directly from his inheritance. Janice was sceptical, but she capitulated and said she would talk to Nicholas. Matthew had to make some calls and write some emails and show some evidence, all of which he did with meticulous cooperation. The executors were impressed. A figure of £1,500 was negotiated and transferred into Matthew's bank account. What he didn't tell anyone is that Leon had put him in touch with his criminal law solicitor, who was engaged in an ongoing battle to stop the Russian Chancellor being deported. This solicitor, paid for by Matthew's modest retainer, got him the rest of his money within a couple of weeks. Matthew immediately cancelled his place at the treatment centre and left the caravan. He didn't know where he was going, but it didn't matter. He was following something new, and it seemed to be going okay so far. One thing Matthew did know with absolute certainty was that for as long as he lived, he was never going to eat another apple.